Today's video, we're going to be very positive, PC positive.
We review old technology from games to old PCs, and don't forget the toys. Yeah, ancient electronics, we cover it all.
So this here is my PC positive 286, yet another 286 machine that I have picked up recently. I remember at one point mentioning on this channel, and I was starved for 286s. I never came across them. These days it's like 386s is what I haven't come across in a while now, but 286s, I've been picking them up all day, and I don't know why they finally started to come out of the woodwork. But yeah, this is, I've never heard of this company before. It's PC Positive. It's just pretty simple, PC Positive 286. It's actually a pretty nice machine. I've opened it up once. So it was a while ago. I don't even remember what's in there exactly, so that'll be interesting. But this thing works, and how I acquired it was a little bit interesting. I was actually on, I think it was Facebook Marketplace, and someone was selling televisions. And televisions is one of the things I check out. And behind the TV, sitting there, I've seen this little indescript beige box, and I asked, I was like, is that an old computer? And they're like, yeah. I was like, is it for sale? So yeah, completely kind of an unexpected pickup there. So interesting machine. Another fun thing about this machine is it actually works. Now, behind the scenes here at Ancient Electronics, I'm actually working on several videos, and I'm hitting roadblocks with those because the machines are just very finicky and having issues. But this machine, at least at the moment, until I mess with it, when you hit the power button, it actually powers up, displays, and boots into DOS on a hard drive. So that's always very nice. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about this machine as it is, and then I'm going to do a couple of my, upgrades, whether they're upgrades or just making it different. We'll see, I guess. I have a few ideas to do with this machine, but yeah, let's talk about this PC Positive 286. Now, I do actually have the box. When I got this machine off him, he actually had the box it came in. So before we actually take a closer look at this machine, let's take a look at the box, because it has some, marketing blurbs and some specs on it, so we can get a overview of the specs of this machine. So I don't have any of the the manuals or the paperwork, but I actually do have the box with this machine. As you can see here, PC Positive. I still think that's very clever. 286, 12 megahertz personal computer, IBM compatible, includes formatted hard disk, so we do know it came with a hard drive, software, 1-year warranty, blah blah blah. Assembled in the USA, and I think there's more, yeah, there's more specs on the side. Okay, so here's the other side of the box. Again, 286, 12 megahertz, pretty standard. And then here we have the features of this specific model. We have the 12 megahertz CPU, 1 megabyte of RAM. That's very good for 286 in my opinion. 40 megabyte hard drive, not bad. Video, there is a built-in video controller for VGA, 1.44 megabyte floppy, 1.2 megabyte floppy. Parallel serial. I mean, this looks like a decent deal. Slimline chassis. I guess it came with a serial mouse and a modem. So this seems like it was a pretty good deal. Now, it does say it came with MS-DOS 4.0. Just a bunch of, I think this is just like buzzwords and, software on there. So, yeah, it seems like I said, this is a lot to include in a 286. It seems like it's more or less all you need for a pretty functional and capable 286. So I like this box. It's nice and informative, and again, PC Positive. Okay, with that out of the way, let's take a look at what we have here. Very nice kind of slim case, 286. Very nice slim case, especially for like an older computer. I like this machine. It seems to have everything you would basically want in a 286 in a nice kind of compact case. So we've got the, of course, the badge here, PC Positive 286. We have a lock, of course, common on older machines. Nice square turbo button. So this would turbo, I'm guessing it's a 12 megahertz 286, so I believe this will, you would think 6 megahertz, but I believe this one downclocks to 8 megahertz, which kind of makes sense because it kind of puts it in line with the IBM AT, well, at least the second revision with the faster CPU. But anyways, next we have a nice little reset button, power LED, turbo LED to see if your turbo switch is engaged or not, and a hard drive activity light. Pretty standard stuff. And then we have some bays here. Now, of course, because of this case design, it's a little bit more limited than some other machines, but it might not be that bad because this, I believe, I'm guessing your hard drive would go here because I see the little vents, and that, I'm guessing that's where the hard drive is on this machine. Again, I've opened it up, but it was a while ago, so I think the hard drive's here. I believe this is a 3.5-inch bay as well, so you could probably, I could probably move the 1.44 megabyte floppy drive over here, and then that would leave us with two 5.25-inch bays. I'm probably going to swap this guy out with, if I can find one that color matches it, like a beige 1.22 megabyte 5.25-inch floppy drive. I'll probably swap this one out for that. I plan to move this one here, and then yes, I will put I think I'm going to put like an older style CD-ROM drive in there. Oh, the controversy of a CD drive in a 286. But yes, I think that's what I'll do. Or I might even put I have a couple combo. If that doesn't work out, this seems like, it seems like this should come out, like this should be a bay. But I don't know. If it doesn't, then I think I have some combo drives. I might put a combo drive in one of these. A kind of unimpressive red power... Ooh, it's plugged in, I forgot. A kind of unimpressive red power switch right here. So that's the front of the case, so let's spin it around and take a look at the back. Alright, so here is the back of the machine. It's from the Positive Corporation, model number PC212, so we do get a model number, and that's about it. I don't see a year of manufacture back here anywhere. Standard power supply, AT power supply, AT keyboard connector, to serial. It's actually labeled up here too. Mouse/serial 2, serial 1. I don't know if these labels came stock with the machine or if the previous owner added these. Parallel port right here. And then we do have built-in VGA on this machine, which is nice. And then obviously it uses a riser card here. So we get 1, 2, 3, looks like 4, 5 expansion options here to put in expansion cards. So I'm guessing they're all maybe a mix of 8 and 16-bit ISA. Of course, that's what you would expect with a 286. So without further ado, let's open this guy up. So opening this thing up, again, I had only opened it up briefly before, and I actually had forgotten what's in this machine, but a few surprises right off the bat. One is for a 286 board, it has integrated floppy I/O and hard drive controller. This Connor drive here, actually there's two hard drives. This one looks a little chunkier. This looks like an older one. So there's two hard drives, huh? Also, the memory, it actually uses these like SIM slots here. Which is also sort of unusual for a 286. It's either more like these like DIMM packages for memory, or it's like the zip format where it's like the lines. I don't see the actual, I mean you do sometimes, but this would indicate that this is definitely like a later 286 board. So it's nice to have these. It also looks like it's all maxed out, so that's interesting. Here we get 286 Genesis board, motherboard factory. I don't see like an obvious like VGA chip. I see these Zymos chips. I don't see the CPU or anything like that. This looks like the ROM. I don't know if that's for the math coprocessor or not, because I don't, usually it would be next to the CPU. And I'm guessing the CPU is under these hard drives. So, and then we got a lot of jumpers here that are thankfully labeled, which is nice. So Let's see, what do we have here? Quadtel, BIOS, VGA. So I think what I'm gonna do now, let's look at the slots here. We got 3 16-bit ISA, and then these are 2 8-bits. So yeah, that's pretty good, but pretty typical. So I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put the lid back on here. Let's hook up a monitor. Let's go into DOS. Let's run some things like let's run some system checks and benchmarks and see what kind of information we can glean. And then after that, I'll add what I'm going to add. Maybe, I don't know if I'm going to pull the drives and like reinstall an OS or things like that. But let's put this back together and let's take a look at what we can glean from it now as it is. Alright, so let's power this guy on. I am using this LCD monitor here. It's just easier for me to move around, and it's a little easier on the camera. So let's turn this guy on and see what we get. Alright, now this power button, there's just something, it's so small, there's just something, I don't know, unsatisfying about this power button, but here we go. We should get, okay, yep, there we got an image. Counting up the RAM, I think this counts up to a little over, I think this counts up to like 2.5 megabytes. I think the box said it came with 1 megabyte, but maybe with the RAM added, there's like 1.5. So it looks like we have like 2.5 megabytes total, which is really good for a 286, maybe overkill. So we're running FreeDOS now. I think because of this monitor, everything's shifted a little bit. It's cutting off a little bit here on the left. Let me try to auto adjust that. And no, that did nothing at all. Now I could go into the OSD here, but unfortunately it's a little messed up. Whenever I try to change a setting on this, it goes to the max. So I don't want to mess with it. No. So yeah, unfortunately, like the OSD is kind of messed up. I might have to just clean the dials and things, but right now it's just not working well. Alright, so yeah, it looks like we've got FreeDOS on here. Cache size, looks like disks, smart drives running. Let's see here. I don't know if the... Yeah, it looks like... I'm not really too versed with FreeDOS, but it looks like it's mostly the same as like MS-DOS 6.22. So yeah, it looks like we have about so we have our full 640 of conventional, and then we have reserve, so that's like 1 megabyte right there, and then extended, so it looks like maybe there's 2 megabytes. So it looks like maybe the machine actually has 3 megabytes total, but it's only counting up to like 1.5. Let's take a look here. Again, this is not mine, so I have no idea really what's on here, but I do know that Tetris, previous owner put Tetris on this machine. Alright. Choose graphics mode. We're going to go with VGA. And then I don't have a sound card in there, but man, this game supports a lot of different sound cards. We're going to go with the internal speaker, but yeah, AdLib, Sound Blaster, FM, geez, Media Vision, Sound Blaster Pro, Media Vision Pro, MT32, Roland, Tandy 3 voice, Sound Canvas, SSC1, or no sounds. A lot of options here, so we're just going to go with the PC speaker. This version requires at least 460k bytes of RAM. I do believe we have that, so let's continue. And it does look like now, once it's gone into the game, it does look like it's switched to like taking up the full screen, like the aspect ratio is now correct. It's not... Yeah, it's not like shifted over now. I guess it only does that when it's in DOS, but it actually looks nice for like an LCD screen. I just like this LCD screen because One, it's beige, so it goes with all my older systems, and two, and it's a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it has little speakers built in. All right, so yeah, this is Tetris. It seems to be running just fine on this machine. Let me load it up real quick here. Yeah, actually looks pretty nice. No music though, but I guess it's the PC speaker. All right, so let's run like sysinfo and see what that can tell us about this machine. So I'm loading up Checkit. I guess it's not sysinfo, but there is a system info tab in Checkit. So it's loading up on from the floppy drive, and it's taking its good old time here. All right, so I don't have a mouse hooked up. There is no math coprocessor present. Everything else checks out in AMI BIOS. So let's go in here. So configuration, that should give us some basic info. All right, so it's coming up as a 286 AT machine. Again, no math coprocessor, BIOS date from 1989. And yeah, here we go, base memory, 640, extended memory, it's about 2 megabytes. So it looks like there's like 3 megabytes installed on this machine. With, I'm guessing those I'm guessing those memory sims is an additional like 2 megabytes. So effectively like 3 megabytes on here, which is probably kind of overkill for a 286. Doesn't really tell us much about the video adapter. It just says VGA, but it doesn't tell us like a type or anything like that. So let's go to benchmarks, main system, see what that tells us. All right, yeah, look here. If you could see that here, we are running at 8. Well, it says 8.40 megahertz, so it's 8 megahertz. So it's so it looks like it's running in its slower speed. So I'm going to hit the turbo button here. Okay, the light came on. That probably explains why things were a little sluggish. So let's try that again. Yeah, now we got 12.24 megahertz. So effectively now it's running at its full 12 megahertz. So that would explain why it was sluggish, as I said earlier. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, can we glean anything from video here? Just says VGA. Again, when I take out those hard drives, I'm going to poke around a little bit more and see if I can find the video chip here. It's just generic VGA. But that's nice that it's built in. That's what's really nice about this 286. It's just everything is just built into it, except for like sound, but that's pretty nice for like a 286 class machine to actually have the I/O built into it. Let's see, with hard disk, and we got 2 drives here. Let's look at the C drive. It doesn't really give us information on it. Yeah, I'm a little worried to look at the D drive because last time I did that, it locked up. So, but let's see if it does anything here. I can hear it. Okay, it's actually looking. Alright. Here's the Landmark version 6. I don't generally really like this benchmark. It usually gives like weird readings, and how it judges speed is bizarre. Like this computer performs like a 17 megahertz AT machine. But this looks correct. Although for video we get ATI, which means there might be an ATI chip in there, which is some of those early ATI like VGA chips are pretty cool. But I've noticed this program also tends to like goof up on the video and give like incorrect data on like what it is. So I'm guessing it's not actually an ATI chip in there, but yeah. So yeah, that's the Landmark score. So I have another program here. I think on my disk it's just called Video Monitor or whatever, but it's specifically for looking at the video adapter. This one says chipset in use. It's a Trident chipset, the 8800 CS. Now, that's a little more believable to me than the ATI, but again, poking around in there, I didn't see a Trident chip anywhere, so who knows. 256K of video memory. Nah, that sounds about right. No VESA driver installed. Let's see what else we can glean here. Here's our video mode compatibility. 800 by 616, 640 by 400, 256. I don't know. I don't really trust these programs a whole lot. Let's see here. This is pretty useful though. You get the color generator. Although I see a lot of like noise going on here. This monitor isn't exactly. This monitor has seen better days, but it's still usable. All right, here is top bench running. We get a score of 23. Interesting enough, with the video adapter, it's saying again ATI, that it's the equivalent of an ATI, which is interesting. I do not think it's an ATI though, although that would be interesting. So, all right. Well, I think at this point, let me see here, bench. All right. Well, I think at this point, what I'm going to do is just take it apart and do some upgrades. I want to pull out those hard drives. I don't know if I'm going to use. I'm probably going to just remove one and just keep it with one hard drive. I might move around some drives down here and whatnot. I don't know if I'm going to keep this hard drive with FreeDOS. I might use another drive or wipe it and just put a more traditional, like some kind of MS-DOS. I don't know yet. I'll probably go with 6.22 for just convenience, but something a little more appropriate to a 286 from the early 90s might be. I might try to throw on MS-DOS like 5, just because I have so many systems that run 6.22. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And then I have some ideas. Depending on what the actual video card is in here or not, I might put in a discrete graphics card, and then I'm definitely going to put in a sound card for this guy. So Googling around these certain chips, I actually did find the video chip, and it's actually this guy here, this Zymos Poach 51AA. That is the VGA chip, and this is actually a clone of a Trident VGA chip, the Trident 8800 CS, which I believe is Trident's second video chip that they put out. It's an early one from probably like 1990 or maybe even the late 80s. So yeah, there's the VGA. I do believe it has 256K of video memory, and it's actually an okay. It's kind of like a middling, you know, Trident never has a great reputation, but for a 286, like a 12 megahertz 286, I think this is quite adequate for anything this machine can reliably run, so I'm not even sure I'm going to upgrade the video. Again, this isn't a wonderful chip, and I'm sure there's faster cards I can put in here, but I don't know. I'm wondering if the need. I might just put in a sound card and just stick with the onboard video. I'm not sure I really see a need to upgrade, but if you have this machine and you do want to upgrade, if you just put in another card, you'll get a bunch of beeps and you'll get nothing on the screen, or garbage. So this last jumper right here, that is, you can barely see it, but it's VGA EN, like VGA enabled. Pull that jumper if you're using a discrete video card, and then it will run. Otherwise, with that jumper installed there, you won't get anything. It will still output to the onboard, but you won't get anything from your discrete card. All right, so I got the hard drives, the two hard drives out of the way. They're on this little like hard drive sled here, and we get a better look at the whole motherboard. Now, I found the CPU right there. It is I think it's a Siemens 12 megahertz 286. I'm still not sure about the math coprocessor slot. It could very well be this one. So we have low and high ROMs here, so maybe this is the math coprocessor slot. It's a little bit away from the CPU, but not too far. but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should risk putting in a CPU or an FPU there. I don't see any. Sometimes on these boards they'll actually be like a jumper that you take out or put in to say if there is like a math coprocessor installed. I don't see one, so I'm not sure. I couldn't find this motherboard like a jumper layout or anything on the internet, but I didn't try all that hard. See these guys as the chipset, the Zymos, what, Poach 8, Poach 7. Not sure, that's WDC. That might be like an I/O controller of some sort. And our second drive here is a ST157A. According to the Red Hill website, they say this is one of the best IDE stepper drives of its generation. So that's pretty cool. I guess it was kind of still working, so I suppose that is a credit to it. So yeah, this is obviously like IDE on the motherboard of a 286, so that's a little unusual. I don't really see that very often. So I was wrong. I'm playing around with the hard drives, and actually that Connor drive was the D drive, and actually the C drive that the OS was on was actually this old ST157A. So as you can see, it's booting up to FreeDOS here. So yeah, I may as well keep this thing going, kicking, as long as it will live, I suppose. So, but I don't think I'm going to keep FreeDOS. I'm either going to put DOS 6.22 or preferably DOS 5, but this disk doesn't seem to be working. This is one of those machines where it's very picky about what hard drive it will accept, and it has to match something in its lineup. There's actually 2 pages of these, and it has to match up exactly or it gives you trouble.
I'm having trouble.
And it doesn't seem to support like very large hard drives. Well, there's one that's 202. That might be about the biggest one I see, yeah. And it doesn't really, even if you look down here at 46, it's like zeros. You're like, oh, you can input your own. No, it doesn't give you an option. So I'm not really sure. Actually, maybe I should try setting it to that and see if maybe it does some kind of auto thing. I don't know, but this thing is really picky about hard drives. At least if you're using the built-in I/O. I could just put in like an I/O controller card, but I want to try to not do that. Kind of a weird problem. I did manage to get the hard drive set up. Like I said, I am going with the old ST157A. Seems to be working like a champ. I did manage to install MS-DOS 5.0 on there, so it is booting to the new MS-DOS 5 on here. Now I wanted to move the floppy drive over here so I could put in a CD drive here. But the problem is, this ST157A, it's not, because it's not quite like, you know, it's half height, but it's not like, you know, it's not thin like this guy here. So it's just a little too tall, where this floppy drive just, it doesn't seem to be fitting, because this hard drive is just a little too tall. So I don't want to replace the hard drive. I want to stick with that one. So I'm either going to have to nix my idea for a CD drive, which, you know, it's a 286. Do I need a CD drive in there? I know many of you would say no, but I don't know. I either nix that idea, or I do have a combo drive I might try. And this, I'm pretty sure this is a 360K drive. I'm pretty sure the last drive that was originally in here was also 360K. So I got to dig around. I don't even know if I have any 1.2 megabyte 5.25 inch floppies left. So I don't know. I've got to do some thinking and moving around and looking for some parts and whatnot. Alright, so I did manage to dig out a 1.2 megabyte 5.25 inch floppy drive. Now it is more of gray rather than this beige or off-white, but it's closer, and it is high density, whereas the previous one was just a 360K drive. When I first received this machine, it actually had one of these, well, I don't think this is a GoTech, but it's very similar, and Ilasung. It's a floppy drive emulator. It was actually installed right here. Of course, I immediately removed it and replaced it with an actual floppy drive and removed it completely from my site. Ugh. Alright, so now for sound card, we're going to try something a little different. Usually in something like a 286, I'd throw in, you know, an AbLib or a Game Blaster or a Sound Blaster like 1.5 or something like that. But today we're going to try something a little different. I actually have never tested this card before, so I do not know if it works, but it's been in my stash for quite some time, and this is I believe it's pronounced like a Zoltec AV206, and this is I think it's a Sound Blaster Pro clone card, and according to one commenter on Vogan's, this is about as low on the ladder as you can get and still get a brand name card. Although I don't know if Zoltec is like a very well known brand in every home. So I don't know about that, but I guess it is technically like a brand name card. So yeah, this is, like I said, it's a Sound Blaster Pro card. Yeah, this is pretty bottom of the barrel. Maybe we'll be surprised. I couldn't figure out which of these chips is the actual, like, the clone chips. I don't know. This one has a sticker over it. So, but yeah, I have no idea. I tried looking up some of these chips, and I found, like, data sheets, but I'm not, like, a technical guy. I can't make heads or tails out of them, so maybe you guys know. I have no idea which of these is the clone chips for the Sound Blaster support. We do have 3 connectors here, but none of them, as far as I know, are IDE. These are all proprietary connectors for like CD-ROM drives. I think we have like Sony and Panasonic and it's not Mitsubishi, I can't pronounce it, something with an M. It's a Japanese company. Anyways, we do have jumpers on here for setting IRQ. I believe it's currently set for 7. And there's like, I think there's jumper for address and stuff like that. This is actually, even though it's 16-bit ISA, for the sound part it's actually just 8-bit ISA. The 16-bit part is, I believe, exclusively used for the proprietary CD-ROM attachment part. So in actuality it's just an 8-bit card. What do we have here? We have a game port, which also has a jumper somewhere. And then we have a volume dial, which is always nice, and then everything else is unlabeled. I'm guessing maybe it's a mic, maybe line in and then like line out or speaker out. It's my guess. We'll have to, try to figure that out, obviously. I think that's for connecting to a CD drive, is my guess, right there. And yeah, that's it. So we'll install this card and I'll see if I can even get it working. If not, I have some options for like backup, but I just thought this would be kind of an interesting card to test out. Wow, and to my surprise, the speakers are awkwardly over here, but it's actually working. And it actually doesn't sound half bad. Huh. So it looks like everything's set up. The setup program is pretty simple. Fixed drive C, and then you just kind of set the disk drives and the date and time and stuff. Also, I don't think I pointed out before, there is a battery in here holding information. It's this guy right here, and it's connected right there, and it does seem to hold the info, so it seems to be good still. So, well, actually, when I got this thing, the guy got it off of, actually, he had like a GoTech installed in here, so I think he kept it more or less up to date. So that's probably a fairly fresh battery. It's still holding information. So, all right. So we should be ready to go here with this guy. We're also testing out this guy in our video today. I recently picked this up from a local Goodwill, and it's one of those little speaker, kind of like desktop-y style speaker sets you can put on top of a computer, and then if you want you can put a monitor on top of it. This one's from Reveal. I like these. These are pretty nice. I haven't really used them in my setups. I just kind of have side speakers, but they're really nice for like saving space sometimes. I don't think the sound that comes out of these many times isn't as good as like if you used full-blown speakers. But I might end up setting this guy up under something like maybe the Mac. I'm not sure. So in the end, I really didn't do too much to this computer. When I was talking about doing an upgrade, really all I did, I reformatted the hard drive. That ST drive I did go with. By the way, it is a 40 megabyte drive. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. I believe it's the stock drive that came with this machine. So I installed a fresh copy of MS-DOS 5.0, put in that sound card, made sure the floppy drives were working, put in the 1.44 and the 1.2 megabyte drives, and that's really all I did. I didn't elect to put in a CD-ROM drive or anything like that, so it's a pretty stock standard 286. I didn't really need to do too much to this machine. It has a lot of great things built in to it. I think the video that's built in is adequate for it. So yeah, didn't do too much. So sit back and relax. Let's watch some gameplay on this machine. I didn't play anything too crazy. I wanted to keep it kind of appropriate for this machine, so I played mostly a lot of early VGA titles, stuff from around the year 1990, which I think is more or less appropriate for this machine. So I'm not a super audiophile when it comes to determining like a FM clone card and how close it sounds to a real Yamaha OPL chip, but I know Lemmings is a good test of that, so maybe some of you guys that have your ears are a little bit more attuned. Let us know in the comment, how good is the OPL FM emulation on this card in your opinion? So I've seen some documentation on the internet about this card, although there is some discrepancies. I don't know if there's different versions or models that have different abilities. But I have read that this card might be able to do Game Blaster sound. So Indy, and The Last Crusade is actually a good game to test that out, because you can do a little command prompt when you start the game, and you can set the mode. And I'm quite familiar with the Game Blaster sound mode, because I did play through this whole game to completion using Game Blaster sound. So I know what it should sound like. So let's test this card and see if indeed it does do Game Blaster sound mode. And from all those random clicks and beepings, it does not appear that it does. So, I don't know, maybe there's like some kind of driver that can force it or something like that. I don't know. But I feel like it's just this version of the card I have installed here doesn't support Game Blaster mode. So that was our look at the PC Positive 286, or I guess you could go by Model 212. And I have to say, it was a very positive experience. This is probably one of the better OEM builds in general that I've come across. It's just everything was in here. There wasn't much of an issue. I really couldn't have asked more for this machine for what it is, a 286. So yeah, 286, it fits in that weird class where, you know, it's too fast for those games that really demand an 8088 and CGA, but it's too slow for, you know, VGA. Usually you're just better off with a 386. You'll get the same experience, but, you know, smoother. But for a 286, you know, it hits the sweet spot. This probably would have been a budget machine when it came out. It came out a little later in the 286's lifespan. I believe this came out, you know, when there's already 386s, 486s on the market. So this would have been a budget offering, but it really hits the sweet spot with 286. The built-in integrated video is pretty, you know, adequate. I didn't have any issues with it. I didn't do torture tests and really intense testing with scrolling issues and things like that, but every game I played, it didn't give me an issue. For, you know, early VGA, it should be quite adequate. The 12 megahertz CPU seemed pretty adequate for, you know, 1990s-ish early VGA. I think we had some things that maybe ran a little slow. I felt Test Drive 3 was perfectly playable. Maybe it ran a little slow. No, not sure. But yeah, good machine overall. As I said earlier, as far as OEM machines go, this is probably one of my favorites. For whatever reason, we really only had to add that sound card. You guys can let me know what you think of that sound card. I thought it sounded fine, but I don't know. Maybe some of you guys have a different opinion, so let me know on that. There's not much I really could ask of this machine for what it is. I guess PS2 ports for mouse and keyboard would have been nice, but I mean it's a 286, so we didn't get PS2 ports standard till, you know, the Pentium era, and even then we are still having AT motherboards and things like that, so can't really fault it on that. I guess the only thing really is maybe like the BIOS and the setup could have been better, especially the hard drive. It was a little picky with the hard drive. I'm impressed with this original, this 40 megabyte, I forget the exact model number, but it's that old ST, old Stepper IDE drive. Man, it's a trooper. It's still going strong. So yeah, that's pretty cool, but again, it would have been nice if it was a little less finicky with hard drives, because you didn't see it on the video, but I did try a number of other hard drives, newer and from the time period, and it just was not having them at all. It was not working with any of them. Some of them it would let me install the OS. It would see it enough to install the OS, but then on boot, it just would not boot to it. So it was just that original hard drive was what's in there, and that's fine. So yeah, that is the PC Positive 286, a very positive experience. Let me know what you think of this machine. Let me know what you think of that weird Zoltec sound card that's in there. But yeah, I will see you in the next video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.